there.
Just a first comment on the key slogan. Remember translation of the key slogan as well. It's just because everything was in English, so it's just for the future, for the selection procedure. Something I want to ask is, all this is focusing, it's inward looking into the language technology world. And I think that Roberto mentioned it, that a question could be, do we really need something specific? Okay, so I think that even in this vision document for the research, there should be an overview of the possibilities that are not used and why they're not used. Okay, there was a discussion about national activities, regional activities, international activities, I mean, or funding mechanism or such things. Probably you could take this into account. Okay.
Yeah. I think you're right, yeah, that's a good observation. This vision document is still, nevertheless, I think it plays an important role in not only inspiring the Meta Council and all the public in order to come up with an SRA, but on the communication side, on the communication between us and the world out there, yeah, and the others, more still needs to be done. Yeah? We hope that with the, did you think that in the outline it was better reflected in the outline of the SRA? Because that we need to do. We need to, in the outline of the SRA, in a document that you use for planning and asking for money, you really need to show exactly what is the state of the affairs in society and what are the real problems and what are the real potential. So do you think this is reflected?
In my opinion, there was language technology everywhere. So if you want to indicate that language technology can be embedded in other solutions, probably you should not just focus saying language technology this and language technology that and language.
Yeah.
So
bring
up to the outline level something.
Your idea is more stress, more also all the numerous ways or the numerous products, market opportunities where language technology is embedded, right? But in the end, our driving visions, yeah, we need to, if we pick something, yeah, where our language technology is a very important but an essential but small part of something much, much bigger, that could go wrong, yeah, because then we would have to agree with a completely different technology field. But you're right, we should also point out all these other parts.
Okay, still, somebody should take the microphone from me. So. I mean, it's, I think that the key term here, and it was mentioned in previous discussions, was enabling technology, which is, should be.
It's a question for Hans. You said that you investigated carefully the strategic research agenda of other domains. Can you elaborate which domains and which good things they did and which not so good things they did?
Yes, I even have a presentation, but it will take too long. We gave a presentation of that. So what we used is we used ambient assisted living, embedded systems, one from software engineering. We usually picked only the ones from our area, but there was one, Alyosha, from transportation also, or from transportation area. Mainly from our areas, maybe one from pharmacy, one from translation. And then we went through and we saw, for instance, how did they join, did they have one driving vision or several ones? How did they phrase it? How was the business either integrated or separated from the technology? I think this is a very, very important point, because whenever it is really separated, then you feel it. It smells of not being right, yeah, because there's some business consultant who got a lot of money to writing something, and the technology got less money but wrote something else, and then it never fits in the end. Yeah, so that's the difficult thing. So we studied many of these things, but it's not enough time now to give, but we presented some of that to the Meta Council actually in a presentation, and we have a presentation that if somebody would be interested in one of the meetings, we can schedule one of these things. Yeah. Maybe, or maybe we make it a business idea consultation how to write an SRA after we are through.
Jock. John McNaught, UK National Centre for Text Mining. I have a question not so much about number of visions as level of visions. It is on, okay. I have a question more about level of visions rather than number of visions. Whenever I've prepared strategy documents and gone to funders, they've said, can you please give me alternative levels of vision? Tell me about your grand vision. Tell me about your less grand vision and what I would lose if I didn't go for the grand vision. Do you see what I'm getting at, Hans?
Not yet. Are you thinking of almost something like a document of documents, of something that has one level, a document that encodes several levels and you can read it customizable? Is that what you're saying?
It's not so much customizable, it's to try, it's giving the funders a choice,
Yeah.
but also trying to make a case to say, here is the grand vision, and here's what you get with the grand vision, but if you go down a step and have a less grand vision, here's what you lose.
Right. You're not saying customizable, but are you saying contrast? There should be, we should say the contrast. We should say what do you get really if you support this very strongly?
Exactly.
And if you don't, then the future will also be all right.
So here's what we could do.
Something like will also be good, but not the future. Then will be okay, but not bright, or something like. Okay, I see. Yeah, that's something that I haven't seen yet in the others, because it already takes lots of space usually to describe your grand vision. So, but it's something to think about. Yeah, yeah.
Who else? Dan.
I have just a small comment. Joseph, you spoke about the future European multilingual information society, and then among the last slides, you mentioned the pillars or the priorities, out of which the last one was efficient information management. So I would replace in both places information with knowledge. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I put information / knowledge, but it's easy to go to knowledge if you think it's more, intellectually speaking, sound.
I think from the factual level, you're very right, because many of these things actually pertain to knowledge. Yeah? So then you're right. When it comes to the communication part, I more and more hope that by the time that we are through in writing this, knowledge will have a good smell again in industry. Yeah? Because right now, because of knowledge management, yeah, these people, when you come now with knowledge applications sometimes to them, then but it's only a temporary thing, yeah? that somebody spoiled this very nice word for a while, but I hope it will come back. Yeah.
And maybe we may wonder if the DG may change its name into Know-So and Media.
Other, down there.
Géza Németh, Budapest University of Technology and Economics. I wonder what your opinion is about the fact that frequently there are statements or perceptions by the industry, some people in the industry or politicians, that some topics like speech synthesis or speech recognition for command and control or news transcription, media archive search and so on, perceive that this problem is solved. So they say there is no need for research. But then if we go to users and ask, okay, are you willing to use that system? They say no. So my favorite comment would be that I heard from a French colleague, Véronique Auberger, I guess, Joseph, you know her, that they asked users about a particular very well-developed speech synthesizer. What is your opinion or impression about the synthesizer? It was really natural and really high quality. So the user said, it's arrogant. So then, how would you see the possibility to handle this gap?
Yeah. When it comes to speech itself, I pass over to Joseph. He's the specialist. But when it, but that's what I tried to indicate when I said scientifically ambitious needs to be really ambitious, and it needs to be commercially over-ambitious. Yeah, it needs not to be. We need to make sure that this guiding solution vision, that everybody understands that for this vision that it's not there yet with the technology by just screwing together what you can do. Yeah? Otherwise we would be really in trouble. And because of the misconception of the public and many people about the state of some technologies, we better not leave it up to chance there. Yeah? We better phrase the thing ambitiously enough so that nobody even tries, yeah, to get us into a discussion, does that already exist on the market or not? Yeah. But with respect to speech, maybe.
Okay, I mean, this takes us to the topic of evaluation, obviously, and I think it's very important. I mean, we didn't discuss too much about evaluation during those 2 days, while it's very important. I mean, if we consider technology evaluation, this is, let's say, mandatory. So the quality of technology should be assessed, but it's not sufficient. And then there is the user evaluation, which has to be taken into account as well. So, I mean, we have to go through those processes. And this is true for text-to-speech synthesis, and this is true for automatic speech recognition, ranging for voice command, which is not too badly handled, up to meeting transcription, which is much difficult to handle, isn't it? So, I mean, we have a full scale of quality there. But maybe I would like also to raise, and this is in the field of translation. I mean, we discussed it this morning. I mean, evaluation in translation is still an open issue. I mean, an open research issue, and thinking more about the way to assess the quality of a translation. Should it be a machine translation, but also a human translation? I mean, why not evaluating the quality of a human translation, which may not be perfect? I think this is also something we have to take care of. And it's very important to look at the feeling of the users regarding this topic.
Roberto now.
Yeah, just a few disjoint remarks and one question. Maybe I'll start with a question. Between now and, say, May, June next year, there will be a number of conferences, scientific events of different sorts. I mean, it may be useful to try and think how some of them may be used, I mean, to provide, I mean, illicit input and get some feedback, which is more easily said than done, I realize. But, you know, if this is or was to be an important cornerstone of future activity in the field, probably each major event should have a session, you know, a workshop, a discussion, I mean, 1 hour or whatever, to try and get, I mean, some input. Now, comments, so I'm going to state the obvious. So don't make it too much Brussels-centric. Don't make it, I mean, too much about, I mean, funding from the European Commission. It should be addressed to the community, through to industrial and national public sponsors, to the community, to whoever, not just, I mean, you know, to one building in Brussels, I mean, because that would be, would make it very popular. Discussions about enabled, not enabled, pure LT or whatever. 2 years ago, I suggested that the vision, and now we are past the stage of the vision was almost exclusively about things beyond LT and around LT, you know, trends and drivers, etc. And I still believe that whether it's exactly summary, the first chapter or something, there must be a short but convincing, I mean, a piece of text which shows basically, I mean, how LT fit within, I mean, these big things, I mean, around us, okay? So folks, I mean, you're not doing it, I mean, because, I mean, of language technology is important, but because, I mean, language technology is part of this huge movement towards, I mean, a new society, I mean, new global village, a new economy, whatever. I think it's important, I mean, to bear that in mind. You have said, I mean, there is no such thing as the typical SRA, indeed. They're all different. And quite frankly, they're all equally awful. I mean, once you read the one to say, well, I mean, why bother? And yet it's important to say we do have an SRI. It's a process more than a paper. Now, one thing that you may need to consider is basically, I mean, to call upon, I mean, some sort of posh, I mean, English mother tongue, I mean, a kind of journalist or media writer to rewrite the thing, I mean, at the end. So when you're sure about the content and what you say, maybe, I mean, take a look at the form and the style and make it, I mean, it or part of it or the exactly summary, maybe, you know, really posh, very, very shiny, okay? For precisely, I mean, you know, all the people, I mean, who are supposed to be mobilized. Two things about impact, and this is just, I mean, thinking aloud. One element which may provide the beginning of an economic justification, I mean, for some of the things I'm going to propose is maybe the hidden cost of non-action. Okay, so if you do nothing, this is going to mean to cost, I mean, a lot of money. It's linked to, okay, I'm not sure it's the same thing, but it's the same type of idea. So basically, I mean, you know, inaction, lack of action is not an option because in any case, I mean, you carry, I mean, a heavy, I mean, now this is, I mean, a mission impossible because there have been many attempts, I mean, over the last 30 years, I mean, but I mean, there may be elements, I mean, ways, I mean, to infer, I mean, you know, just suggest that, I mean, it's without, the problem is there. We're not solving an inexistent problem. The problem is there, and it is pretty expensive, and it's a pain in the neck, and so forth. I mean, so there is some reward in perfecting technologies or coming up with good solutions and so forth. Another element which is about impact, which I think should not be neglected, is basically, well, let's call it, I mean, the EU manufacturing capacity. How would this action directly or indirectly affect, I mean, the Europe's industrial, commercial, whatever base? Do we have an ecosystem? Do we have enterprises that will profit? Can we expect this to open up new markets, to create new opportunities for jobs and all the rest of it? Okay. Now, again, it's mission impossible. But by ways maybe of very specific examples, by just looking at one application domain, one vertical, or what have you, I think it would be important, I mean, to say this goes ways beyond, I mean, a research or technology program. It does, I mean, trigger a process of change, and a process of change which has some positive implications on the European base. So there are, as I said, I mean, there are opportunities in terms of industries, markets, growth, jobs, and the like. And this is where maybe the business forum, whatever, I mean, we can try and elicit some input and establish some degree of correlation between research, technology development, and business prospects and see whether that can provide an argument. I tend to believe that right now, I mean, my DG is very much in love with the cloud computing, right? So I give you the wrong example. I'm not sure that Europe will profit a lot, I mean, from cloud computing other than using it, if you see what I mean. I can't believe that there would be a major player in supplying cloud computing services. Now, you may want and try to say that when it comes to language and language-enabled things, Europe can and is a big player and a supplier, not just, I mean, at the receiving end. You see what I mean? None of this is easy, but I'm saying there are some elements which you may try and consider when developing, I mean, the plan and the table of content.
Yeah, there we probably need help in one thing. I think we are ready, able, and would spend the time, because it's really necessary, to sit together with people from the business sector and discuss the last thing, the markets and so on, but both for credibility and for competence, we need them. Yeah, we need somebody out that we need. Yeah, so that we cannot do. And I like very much the idea with a conference. So that's also maybe a plea to all of you. We have foreseen a couple of events at conferences. One is with Zygmunt Vetolani in November, yeah, to have a panel there. at the conference in November. We already used or abused scientific conferences for vision meetings, yeah, in Tokyo and other places, so that we already did, several, and in Berlin. So we will do this now for the SRA too. We cannot, it doesn't fit into every type of conference though, but if you have any other suggestions of conferences, we have planned something for languages, language policies, language programs, digital language programs for next year's summer, but this is a little late for many of these things. So next year summer in Mumbai. Yeah, we will be at Koling, Mumbai, and we will have something there together. And so if you have other conferences, please tell us.
It will fit LOEC with the strategies for sure.
LREC, yeah. LREC in May, right? In May.
In Istanbul?
In Istanbul, yeah. May, Istanbul, LREC. So if there are any other conferences, regional, national conferences that would fit, let us know. We now have we are in a nice position to have partners in all these countries, so we can act everywhere.
There is a small, it will be probably small workshop at the IGCNLP in Thailand in November. This workshop organized, by the way, by Flernet MetaShare and Language Grid together. This could be also a location, a place where.
Hamburg? In Vienna. Ah, yeah, the German conference in Vienna. Yeah. Yes. Right. I think I'm even scheduled to be there. I think. Yeah.
And interspeech.
Interspeech. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Kirill. Yeah.
If it is a question, there is other two first.
I think I saw your lip moving, and it said RANLP.
Yes,
was that what you? I saw your lip moving. Yeah,
so
RANLP in September in Bulgaria.
1, 2, 3, 4. First there.
Right. I will give a keynote, and I thought to abuse the keynote for that purpose. Actually, I hope that the organizers won't mind.
I would like to just follow up a little bit about the speaker before the last. Speech recognition is one of those things that apparently hasn't really taken off as much as some of the other technologies. But I would like to say that the work that is needed is a little bit the same as we have with machine translation and with corpora building. Just because English, French, German is already taken care of is no reason why we haven't financed corpora building for the Eastern European languages as part of the CSER program, and we're seeing how that is developing. And this is the same thing that is needed for speech recognition. We need to find a way to finance, on the one hand, building the voice corpora for the lesser supported languages, but also the research that is language specific. And some of this, in terms of inflection, in terms of word endings and things like that, is not dissimilar to what one of the speakers this morning said as to how much more successful you can be if you have the right linguistic rules, even if you're doing a graphic research on trying to find things there. And it's the same thing that's needed for speech recognition. None of the private industry is going to invest in this gathering of the information and doing the research for Latvian, for Maltese, or even for the larger Eastern European languages. But this is something where an enormous gain can be gotten. And also, in terms of the other thing that was mentioned, the aging population, the need to provide these people with tools other than the keyboard to interact with the internet and with all of the e-resources. So I think we should not forget that aspect. Just because the technology in general for a particular thing has already been solved doesn't mean that there isn't a very specific role for European Union funding for that enormous amount of work and research that is needed to treat the smaller languages more fairly and more successfully. Thank you.
Yeah, since I didn't hear the question mark at the end and also agree to everything you said, let's simply agree. Do you, or Joseph, you have any disagreement?
No, no, I perfectly agree. But well, what we have to figure out when you say speech recognition, of course, as I say, it covers from voice command, which is working not too bad, going to voice dictation, going to broadcast news transcription, going to conversational speech and dialogue systems, and going up to meeting transcription. And for each of these applications of automatic speech recognition, you need to get the data which would cover the task. And so this has to be made available. I mean, if the effort is not made for those languages, the resources don't exist, and therefore the systems don't exist, and the quality of the system is not enough. Okay, and this has to be clearly said. And what is very nice is that we know how much data is needed. Okay, we know that from some languages, and so the same should be covered for other languages. I think this is very important. We have to be aware of this.
Okay, Khalid now.
Over the last couple of days, I think we have heard about IPR legal licensing issues very often. I can't remember seeing this in the strategic agenda as presented today. If I may remind you that there is, this is a very important barrier to non-commercial R&D in Europe. Under the American, now Japanese law, you can download data, resources from any website, journal, or whatever, and use it for research purposes without asking for the consent. If you're a gentleman, you probably ask, but you are not forced to do that by law. We don't have such thing in Europe. We discussed this a little bit in Vienna at the first FLAIRNet meeting, and I think we simply forget about it. And I think this is one of the major issues. We can't keep talking about cross borders and copyright at national levels for general purposes, because that's really a big issue. It's probably beyond the community capacities for the next 10, 15 years. But if we try to push that under European law, there is a directive like the American 107 Act of the US Code, or the Japanese one, that would boost the research in Europe very seriously.
Yeah. Thank you so much for this comment. When the laws were changed in the US and in Japan, they were not changed, or these changes were not brought about by computational linguists or language technology people, although they participated. Yeah, they participated, but they were not done by them. So that means, yes, our community, I'm suffering, everybody is suffering from that. Yeah, we all realize it, and industry is suffering from that. We need to do something about it. My feeling is that we should not wait now for the 8th Framework Program and put it as a long-term thing into a strategic research agenda that's mainly guiding research and innovation. We should, for that, team up. That will also give us more visibility. That's a side effect. Yeah? We should team up with other fields that suffer from the same fact, and then try to push some legislation in this direction, and maybe not even wait for the do you agree? Not even wait for the next framework program or anything, or any help from research programs there, because it's an imminent problem, and especially now, since you got good examples from other parts of the world, we may have a political way of achieving this that is independent or even before the research in the agenda.
Roberto, then there and there.
Just a quick comment. In general, I'm always in favor of using this marketing crisis. Just, I mean, commenting on some more, fundamental research. And now I'm reacting, to the gentleman that was commenting on a speech and the need, to record, data, in many different languages. I don't think, that speech technology can be just, how you say, equal, to give us, more speech, database research. I think, there are problems that run much deeper, than that. And although a number of applications have been around for some time, sometimes with modest commercial results, sometimes, reasonably popular. I think that as we move away and reach out, higher level of sophistications, we see that speech is not delivering yet what I would call understanding and dialogue, as opposed to, word recognition, dictation, command and control, and the like. Number one. Number two, I was trying to explain yesterday that basically, what we've been doing the last 2 years have been to restart the process, the choke, okay? And speech has not been as timely, the speech community has not been as responsive as other parts of the community. And the projects that we have analyzed, the ones which have been selected, the ones that we've been set in motion, are sometimes, the Mark III version of projects, that took place, 5 or 6 years ago. So as if the synthesis generation part was reasonably well coped with by businesses. A number of mundane applications were very much in the hands, of commercial players. But there is, not entirely satisfying degree of innovation, this time from the scientific community, in going beyond what is commercially feasible, realistic, palatable nowadays. So I think that if we look at the perspective of the next 10 years, maybe we must look back, at fundamentals and maybe new paradigms and explore, new pathways. I'm not sure that by throwing in, a few databases and a few million recordings, this will change really, the shape of research in that particular domain. Other parts of the LT community suffer from the same phenomenon, but I am less optimistic about the future of speech research and technology development in the coming years that's suggested by just a matter of porting existing solutions to other languages. I think there is more than that.
Well, I would say that there is that and more than that.
Quick answer. So, there.
Yeah, it's just a very down-to-earth remark. Even if you say you have to be over-ambitiously business-wise, I'm not sure if conferences in Thailand and Mumbai, even though I like to go myself there personally, will be attracting people from businesses for just a one-day discussion. So if you want to rally the people, you should not organize your meetings too far away from them.
That's a very good point. But anyway, I think these conferences often in nature, yeah, either they draw business people or they don't. Yeah, some of them, like the speech conference, does. Yeah, some others don't. And we would not really, we use just opportunities of conferences to talk to the communities that are present there. But you're right, we should make sure that there are enough conferences nearby also, yeah, where people have the opportunity. And in addition, of course, technology or industry will also be invited to the consultation meetings, so to Luxembourg. But whenever you have any industry fora that you go to anywhere, yeah, that would be also like the TACOM conference for, or any speech or interaction technology. Yeah, so that would be also good fora, not just scientific conferences.
We are already over the time. There are 2 comments waiting there, and then Sven and Lara.
Okay, I'll make this quite quick. Eric Ketzen, Institute for Deutsche Sprache. Allow me just to make what is hopefully a provocative statement. There's one big problem with MetaNet's vision statement, and it's too vague. What does it mean? Why are we here? So allow me to just suggest in the future, one thing to think about is not what MetaNet is for, which is what everyone's for. Everything in every language, support for small languages. But maybe we should think about what is MetaNet against? What do we oppose? What does this group oppose? And that discussion could start with the 2 big elephants in the room.
Sorry, we could, for some reason, some acoustic problem, we could not, I could not understand your suggestion, but there's...
In one sentence, MetaNet may not need to think what it's for. Maybe it needs to think what it's against.
I see. we should say what we are against, or no, what we are for? As one
way of attacking the problem, that as I see it, which is the MetaNet's vision statement, is too vague.
Yeah. The vision statement is too vague.
What we
Which
can.
one? Which one? Which one? Yeah. So okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Non-active now is not an option.
Okay. Okay.
It's no, saying you've got to need to roll up your sleeves and do something
Yeah.
now.
To have something very
Otherwise,
yes. Otherwise, very. Yeah. So I see. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I couldn't. Yeah, for some reason, the acoustics was not good. But it's the idea is to have a very strong, even maybe with a strong negative. Yeah, negative. Sentence as a slogan that calls people for absolutely immediate urgent action, yeah, something like this?
The end product and the end vision statement doesn't have to be negative, but
no, okay,
this approach could help us find a more powerful one.
Okay. Okay, going through the negative and then again to the yes. Yeah, okay, good. That we should try. That's it.
Now, Svan.
Okay, maybe I can take this opportunity. I think one problem we have when you consider the priority of language technology, if you go to different areas of industry, I mean, nobody will say that it's first priority. Okay, if you go to automotive, if you go to aerospace, if you go to integrated circuits, and you ask those big companies what their priority, no one will say it's multilingualism or language technologies, okay? And the problem is that as we see, there are many small priorities in many different areas. And the problem is how to gather all those small priorities, add them, and show that it's a big priority. And this has to be political. And that's, I think, one problem we are facing. I mean, you know, if a company Dassault goes together with Airbus and goes to the Commission and say our field is very important, I mean, they will be heard. I mean, in our case, how can we gather many people in many different areas saying that we have small priorities in language technologies and that all together it's a big one?
Now the last comment.
I think the last comment was somewhat similar to what I wanted to say. Right now in India, we are developing the language technologies, but we are far away from their integration into the real life applications. And when you come to business, because in India, English is majorly spoken by the ICT community, which is right now using majorly the ICT tools and techniques. So the people who are yet to use, it makes a meaning for them. So it's a chicken and egg situation. Industry is waiting. The demand is not there, and demand cannot be created unless the products are brought into the market. So we are badly trapped in this situation. So I think your words, LT-centric solutions, takes it to a little higher plane. And when it comes to the industry, recently we had an open house meet with the industry, where industry was called in to get ideas what should be done for the 12th plan in the country, because we are chalking out our 5-year 12th plan in each area what we need to do. So in the IT sector, when industry was invited, the industry will either talk of the incentives. If you say, please integrate the language solutions, they'll say, oh, please give us incentives. If you give us incentives, we'll be able to sell our products at a, because it needs extra effort to integrate the language technology solutions into the same product which I'm having in English. So I invest more into it. So for getting that return, please subsidize my inputs or give me some incentive in some shape. So it's a very difficult thing to achieve as such. But I think in your case, we rather were looking for learning solutions, because you have definitely integrated some of the language technology into the business and market, whereas we are far away from that. As you said, the political will and the policy initiatives are also factors which can contribute to this breaking of the situation. But, until unless the technology is so mature, you cannot go to the policy implementation level saying that it's compulsory or please do it. Otherwise, you can't sell your product. So that's an extreme step. which probably when the technology is very mature, you can take it. So right now, the situation is not ripe for that also. Because as you said, we are also testing MT systems by, you know, taking 3 separate kind of audiences. One is translator, normal user, native language, or the person who knows both the languages, source language and the target language. And then average, you know, weightage evaluation. But these evaluations are all very subjective. And translators are yet not ready to get convinced about the use of technology in this area. So we are far away from those goals. So I think LT-centric solutions is an intermediate approach. And maybe identifying some verticals for that. Because by and large, industry may not be interested. Thank you.
Thanks.
I can briefly add this. One of the main topic in the discussions with industry when it comes to covering all the languages that were discussed today will indeed be the question from industry, what's in there for us? Yeah? What can we? And if our hope is, of course, that the companies don't want to get paid for every copy they sell. Yeah, so that. But if they can already get lots of resources, yeah, in their that otherwise are very costly, yeah, for the production, yeah, and many base technologies. And if we find commercialization schemes that allow these things for smaller languages. That needs to be discussed now with industry, with the funding agencies, whether they like these schemes or not and support it and not in the commercialization plans. And so then I hope that we have also some good arguments for the companies. Yeah? I think everything that goes beyond that, yeah, let's say subsidizing a whole industry, that would be maybe almost a little much for a research and innovation agenda, because that's going into policy making on how to deal with a language. But I think even here there should be enough incentive. We are optimistic at this point, yeah? And what we got as feedback from many companies is already yes, right now our developments and research costs for some of these languages are too big. Yeah? If some communal activity can help us to reduce these considerably, then we would be in business. Let's hope.